Welcome, everybody, to the Mental Health Hour. Welcome on in. This is episode 95. We are talking about parenting and co-parenting today. Parenting, I think parenting and something was the viewer requested. I went ahead and added co-parenting.
Yeah, it was.
It's something that goes along with, they go hand in hand, and it's a lot more prevalent these days. Not just from separated houses or divorce, but there is just co-parenting situations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can first start off with, oh, no, can't. That's all right. We'll go ahead and start off with just a basic kind of overview. I am a brand new parent. Penelope's over a year now, but I'm still very new in this game. So I'm not, this episode isn't about how to be a parent or.
I don't think anybody knows the answers to that, no matter how long you've been a parent.
I don't want it to come off that way. I want to get that out first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
We are not here to tell you how to parent your kids.
If we could do that, we'd be worth a fortune.
I started off as a stepdad, and I started learning in that way. Just kind of going through with my wife, Casey, how she, raises her kids. We're on the same page for the most part, but I knew my role there too. Now I have my own, and feels like a whole different ballgame. It is a whole different ballgame, but so we'll get into some of that. So on her end, and I'll let her discuss a little bit, but she's living the co-parenting more. Did you want to touch on that before we get into too much?
Yeah, like it's different for me because like I'm not I don't really share parenting as such. I'm a sole parent. They parent doesn't that they're absent really, so I'm not really doing that as much. It's hard, and from my side it was trying to overcome the resentment of the fact that they got to walk away and live their life and I was left doing it all. I was the bad cop, the everything, the mom, the dad. It can be hard.
Yeah.
And I do wish I had that support. But anyway, yeah.
It is a different, I guess, kind of aspect because you have the co-parenting situation.
Mm-hmm.
However, he's still. I hear you talk about him occasionally, wanting to come and join in or whatever.
Yeah.
But you are sole custody,
Mm-hmm.
sole provider, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and we've got a bunch of slides. I have a video as well that I didn't upload because I didn't know if we would have time to really get to it, but I think we will, and I'll just go ahead and throw it on when the time comes. Jay, Opera, thank you very much for sharing out. Guys, if you do enjoy the content, like Jay just did, go ahead and share us out. That would be awesome. It helps us tremendously to try and get out there, try and build the audience, and especially with the Discord growing and everything. And Naomi was dropping in the chat earlier about our community check-in. We'll go over that a little bit more towards the end of the show. But thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. And we'll we'll get into the first of the slides. This is the four. There was kind of a four horsemen of parenting styles. So I thought we could start with that and just see how it branches from there. Gemma, if you're ready.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just trying to sort this out, but it's not having it, so I'll just not have to touch anything at all, it would appear. Right, okay, so the four parenting styles. So there's permissive, child driven, rarely gives or enforces rules, overindulges child to avoid conflict. And there's the responsiveness up on the left hand side, and the demandingness across the right. Obviously, the permissive is up there at the top with authoritative, solves problems together with the child, sets clear rules and expectations, open communication, and natural consequences. And then towards the bottom of responsiveness and demandingness was neglectful, so uninvolved or absent, provides little nurture. Here we go. That's another one. I can't. I just can't. New. I can't say it. We've got another one. The yellow
Nurturing?
one. Nurturance or
Nurturing.
guidance. Oh my god! Every week there's a word. Oh
That's an
dear.
easy
Okay.
one, though.
And then the today I can't. In different child's social, emotional, and behavioral needs. And then authoritarian, parent driven, set strict rules and punishment, one way communication with little consideration of child's social, emotional, or behavioral needs.
That was painful for the first slide. So we'll get
Yeah.
better as it goes on tonight. Um, Jim in Chicagoland, welcome on in. Thank you for the 50 bits. It's good to see you. Talk about talking about parenting tonight, something you know very much about. Um, parenting and co-parenting. So of the four parenting styles, um, authoritative, from what I take, is the one to strive for. Um, Hence, both the arrows going out and it being in the top right. Um, we will. The video itself is actually on this, the four parenting styles. I thought it'd be good to get a little bit more information on that, but let's take a look at a couple more slides and we'll circle back to the video. Um, we'll take a look at the next one, which is positive parenting.
Yeah.
What is that?
So, what is positive parenting? Positive parenting works with children's strengths instead of picking at their weaknesses. Positive parenting understands children's developmental needs and responds appropriately. Positive parenting recognizes rewards and reinforces positive behaviors. Positive parenting shows empathy. Positive parenting recognizes the child as an individual with rights. And positive parenting builds trust, communication, and respect in the parent-child relationship.
Right. So obviously just some pointers or well, the definition of positive parenting. The idea being um, at the end, it's not so much um, like coddling, it's more empathy, more um, understanding. This way, there's not the butting heads that we all know and love so much, right? Um, we everybody, I'm sure everybody knows what we're talking about. When you get button heads, nothing gets solved.
Oh
One
God,
party
yeah,
storms out, and um, somebody goes to bed hungry, right?
yeah,
Um, and the key factor there is that nothing gets accomplished. When you're button heads with mom and dad, or when mom and dad button heads together, nothing is satisfying. So this way, with positive parenting, the idea being keeping it to an understanding level, um, like the one that says understanding children's developmental needs and responding appropriately. You could have 3 or 4 kids, and one of them could have a learning disability.
Mm.
Well, they're not going to react or learn the same way the other 3 probably did, right?
Mm. Oh yeah.
So it's understanding that and formulating a different plan for that child. Um, and a lot of this is what they're trying to get through in schools now as well. It's just
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, with or without like a learning difficulty anyway, everybody learns at their own speed, at their own pace. Each child, as each adult, each person has got different ways of connecting with things, of learning. Some are more visual, some are more hands on. And when you get to the point where, like you were saying, butting heads, just if you start yelling and shouting and stuff, then it's just, I think you get to that point where you just know you've lost it then, and then there's just nothing after that.
exactly.
You just achieve nothing other than just being really stressed, yelling, and everybody's just like, ugh, yeah.
And that's kind of what this episode's all about, or is supposed to be all about. It's
Hmm.
supposed to be uh, more so about parenting together.
Hmm.
That's why I added the co-parenting thing because it's so important, especially in a time of separation or divorce.
Oh yeah.
That it's not always amicable or it's not always a good
Mm.
environment. Um, but co-parenting, if it's going to be attempted, uh,
And that's
really
the
needs to be
biggest thing.
it really
Like,
needs to be done correctly, or at least tried, with some sort of decorum for the child's sake, right?
oh yeah, that's the biggest thing with co-parenting, especially. Like, no matter what you think of each other, at one time you loved each other enough to make a child.
Mhm.
So even if you hate each other's guts and don't even want to see each other again, you have to make sure that you're singing from the same hymn sheet when it comes to the child. You're not playing one and each other off against each other, or doing things that will influence the child's behavior when it comes to the other one.
Right.
I have that with family members rather than partner, where like if I say no, a other family member will be, yeah, give him it, and then he knows then that if I don't give him it, he can go there, and then that's hard because I'm having to fight them as well then. And that can happen when you're co-parenting with somebody. You can be, you need to have the exact same boundaries, the exact same expectations, and be singing from the same hymn sheet, as they say,
Hmm.
with the same rules, the same guidance, the same consequences for things. Otherwise you're just not going to get anywhere, and
And
it needs to be consistent.
what's funny is in doing a little preparation and research for this episode,
Hmm.
um, I wanted to find a slide or maybe the video itself, if that were the case, on somebody talking about uh, being on the same sheet of music or being on the same page as your spouse, partner, whoever, whoever parent A and parent B are on the same page. And it is impossible to find anything on YouTube, Google, about. Now you type it in and it'll pop up um, some stuff, but it nothing like we could use on the show. Um, and then I did find one video about it, but it was like an hour and 59 minutes. Um, I thought there would be a lot more on that. I thought that was a hot button topic when it comes to co-parenting, is being on the
Hmm.
same page, or just parenting in general. If my wife and I weren't on the same sheet of music on how we wanted to do things,
Mm.
or what I mean, the end goal is, um, our morals, our virtues, our everything, how we want her raised. If we weren't on the same sheet of music, that I, would spell out all kinds of trouble.
Oh god, yeah.
And then you get
And kids
into
know that. They learn that really quickly, what they can get away with each
exactly,
parent.
and that
And that
yeah, that's a
then
breeding
causes
ground.
conflict. Yeah.
That's a breeding ground for manipulation on their end, um,
Oh yeah.
because they can
Massive
see.
manipulation and then conflict between the parents, and it's just a mess.
Yes. Um, well, speaking of, well, let's take a look first at. We do have some do's and don'ts for co-parenting,
Hmm.
and again, everybody, this is not Gemma and Tim telling you how to raise your children. We're just
No.
having a chit chat. I'm learning as much as you guys, and the replay viewers and listeners on YouTube and Spotify. Just want that to be put out there. We
Yeah.
are not at all telling you how children should be raised. These are just talking points.
And I don't think it matters how many years you've been doing it and how many kids you've been doing it. You're still learning every single day.
Yeah,
And nobody's an expert when it comes to kids because every kid is different. Every day is different. Every day is a school day, basically.
every day I'm
We're all
shuffling.
learning. Yeah.
Um, Jeeves, it's good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Um, so we'll get to the do's and don'ts next. But let's first, I wanted to look at this. There's two different styles of parenting as it comes to, and I assume this is for the divorced or separated or just not together. Um, because as we talked about earlier, it's not always just about divorce and separation and what have you. Some parents go into it knowing, hey, we're not going to be married. We just want to raise a child. Um, and it's a co-parenting situation in that way. But there's two types of the co-parenting. Um, one of them obviously is co-parenting, the other being parallel parenting. So I'll have Gemma run through this real quick and
Yeah. So co-parenting, we'll do the co-parenting column first. So parents work together to create a common parenting vision and provide consistent expectations or routines in both homes. So an example, a child is not allowed to attend sleepovers. Child attends church every Sunday regardless of the home. Bedtime is always at 8 in each home. Parents attend teacher conferences together, and parents create a shared calendar to post notices from the school, invitations to parties, and other important dates. And then parallel parenting. So each parent is free to parent as she sees fit within reason, regardless of expectations or routines set in the other home. So, for example of this, child may not attend sleepovers when staying at one home, but may do so when staying at the other home. One parent attends the conference. If a school will provide two separate ones, each parent may attend their own. If not, the non attending parent can request an email update, and then each parent keeps her own calendar. Each parent is solely responsible for communicating with the school, church, teams, etc. Now, if that happens again, I'll try and connect using a mobile device because obviously my Wi Fi is having none of it today.
yeah, that's okay. I mean, we've all had computer issues. I've popped in and out of the chat on a live interview. I think we were interviewing Mindy Davy, and I just disappeared.
Yeah.
But Jeeves, I don't know if you saw that. Jeeves said he's on his way to the UK.
Yeah, wow. Where are you going? It'll be London, I don't.
So, um, co-parenting, that is obviously. So we're talking two separate households here on both of these columns. Um, co-parenting is what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, being on the same sheet of music. They have boundaries set, they have rules established, and they both adhere to them. Both parents adhere to what they have sat down and discussed or decided that they wanted to do from the get go. Whereas parallel parenting, it's not necessarily always going to be that one parent is um, just bending the rules or uh, you know doesn't care or whatever. It's not always that situation. Um, maybe they have an agreed upon thing that I'm going to parent this way, you're going to parent that way, and it's kosher. Um,
Mm.
but the definition of parallel parenting, each parent is free to parent how he or she finds fit, within reason, obviously, and
Mm.
regardless of expectations or routine at the other home. That doesn't say one parent's a shitbag and the other's, you know, trying to keep the kid, on path to greatness.
Yeah.
It says quite clearly each parent is free to parent how they want. So that to me means they've discussed this ahead of time and said, this is what we're going to do.
Mm.
Now, does that work? Uh, I guess. I mean, to me, I've always liked structure,
I think,
bedtimes, and such.
yeah.
Um,
I have a friend that has the parallel parenting, and they find that now, especially that their children are older, the children are starting to rebel against the one that's got the earlier bedtime or the one that they deem is the stricter rules. And it happens to be that the parent who has them less, for the less amount of time, is the one that lets them stay up later and do more in the kids' eyes.
yeah,
So now the kids are starting to rebel against the rules that are set at the main home and see themselves hard done by. So I think that the parallel parenting. I'm not saying it's going to be like this for everyone, but certainly in a case that I know of, it's harder if there is very different boundaries. Like definitely, you know, the you're going to have to sit down and talk about it. I think
absolutely.
definitely and agree
This
on it.
doesn't sound like something you can just enter into willy nilly. Like
No, no.
that, it sounds like it could get really out of hand quick. But
Mm.
it again, it sounds just kind of like what you were touching on there. It sounds to me like it's just not gonna work. Um, they're always gonna want to be with the cooler parent, whoever lets them stay up
Mm.
late. And
Oh yeah.
going to dad's house sucks because he makes me go to bed at 8.
Which is why I struggle, I think, with the. Well, I started off kind of co-parenting, but now I feel like I have to be good cop, I have to be bad cop, I have to be the one that sets the rules, I have to be the one that says no. And it makes me worry that when he's older, he's going to remember all this and be like, oh, well, you wouldn't let me do this and you wouldn't let me do that. And that does make me worry, being a single parent, that it will be an issue when he's older, that he's going to remember that I was the one
Yeah,
that said no, he couldn't do this, and no, he couldn't go there, and no, he can't spend 100 quid on a pair of trainers and 50 quid on a bottle of Prime or whatever.
dude.
That is a discussion at the moment.
Craig says at this point, when the kids get to about 11 or so, they will want to change the house slash parent they live with. Yeah, and that's
Mm,
what we're talking about. Like they'll just. I mean, not that they wouldn't do that anyway, because even if you're in a co-parenting situation, where the rules are the same at both houses, you still have, mom and I got in a huge argument. I'm going to stay with dad, and
mm-hmm.
so I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of that, to contend with. Let's look at the do's and don'ts for co-parenting. Next,
Mm-hmm.
just some talking points again.
I was just trying to work out where I put my phone then. What the heck? Okay, so co parenting do's and don'ts. So we'll do the left side first. So say nice things. When your co parent has done something that made your child smile or that was kind, say it out loud. Recognize these moments and make sure your kids do too. Create boundaries. Set limits with your co parent about the types of behavior that you will accept and not accept in the relationship. Be consistent. Follow your parenting plan and show up when you say you will. Keep communication accountable with talking parents. Discuss. If there is a discussion that you believe you might become an argument, set a time and place that is away from the kids to have the conversation. And then have a team. Friends and family and professionals are available to you. Find resources in your area and create supportive circles that you can speak to. And then the don'ts. Don't insult your co-parent. Watch what you say, especially when there are little ears around, and discourage negative words from your kids at home. Ignore boundaries. Allowing others to cross lines you have created or to ignore your rules make it much easier for your boundaries to be disrespected in the future. Change the plan. Avoid making last minute and erratic changes to visitation. This is inconsistent for your co parent and for your kids. Argue. Arguing in front of your kids can cause stress and self blame. Try to do it all. Parenting and co parenting present unique challenges. Don't try to do it all by yourself. Reach out to people you trust when you need help. And
That's another one of those good pieces of information that we generally discuss and see almost in every episode. Uh,
mhm,
having a team and not trying to do everything on your own uh, is some darn good advice for most mental health topics that we discuss on this show.
mhm,
When you try and undertake too much of your on your own, it all comes crashing down and gets super tense and stressful, right? Uh,
mhm,
utilize your resources, utilize your co-parent, um, utilize help from grandma, grandpa, whoever might be in the picture. Um, but some good talking points up there. We've talked a little bit about boundaries already, and I see that's up there. Um,
mhm.
and then, of course, you gotta be nice. Like we discussed, the situation might not always be um, amicable, or you got
Mm,
might not be on great terms at all. I know if I had a child with my ex-wife, uh, I don't know what the situation would be because
yeah,
it's just not a good place. However,
it can be
discussing
really difficult.
that's not to say that anything would um, befall on that child, though. I know first and foremost what matters
Mm.
and who the priority is. Um, but luckily, that's not the case. And Gemma, did you want to speak any to that while we have a moment?
Yeah, just real quick, having been raised in a environment where I was religiously told that the only reason my parents were together is because they had kids, and then witnessing all the arguments and the tension, that made me carry an incredible amount of guilt because I felt that it was my fault that my mum and dad were not happy. So if you are arguing in front of your kids all the time and they're seeing that and hearing things, you might not mean for some of the things that you say to sound like it does, but it's amazing what it can transpire in a child's brain. They pick up way more than you will ever know. And yeah, you might hate, absolutely despise that co parent, but at one time you liked them enough to make a child. So just
Yeah.
remember that. Right, okay. So 6 hallmarks of an effective working relationship, and the star is excerpted from co-parenting course materials. Okay, so number 1, common goals: raising emotionally and physically healthy children. 2, win-win: working for a long-term benefit, not short-term advantage. 3, negotiation, so that both parents win and the children never lose. 4, task orientated, so agreeing on what topics are in bounds and out of bounds. Courteous, using pleasant voice, calling ahead and sharing information. And number 6, facts and feelings, facts versus feelings. Strong emotions can interfere with effective problem solving.
Excellent. So that more so than just for parents. I mean, that could be for anything. Father, son, mother, daughter, family oriented, or even work oriented. Um, your team at work, you and your team have to be on the same page, common goals, facts, feelings. Um, I told Penelope she could just party on because there's going to be so much editing on this episode anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Go in there and have a blast. Um,
What I'm
but
going to do, I'm going to try log in on my phone. So next time it kicks me out, I'm just going to join from my phone. But it does mean that I won't have comments, just to warn you. But
oh yeah,
at least then it shouldn't throw me off because I'll just use data.
what
But
do you
it
think
seems
this
to be
is, Catalyst?
StreamYard. It keeps saying, oops, there's a problem, and it just throws me out. So I don't know what's going on.
Technical workshop.
Technical
Um,
shit show.
we'll move on to the next one
Oh,
here.
yeah. Okay. We have. So, yeah, myths about self care for parents. So there's the myths on the left and the facts on the right. We'll do the myths for. No, we'll do a cross. It will work better that way. So parents are often seen as an exception to the laws of self-care. After all, they chose this life, right? Our preschool and child care centre is here to set the record straight, prove the self-care myths wrong. So let's see. Parents' job is to take care of their kids and not to worry about themselves. And it says parents can only be good at being parents when they're feeling good and their needs are met too. It's selfish of parents to want time for themselves. Parenting is both incredibly rewarding and challenging. Parents can love their children unconditionally and still want time for themselves, and it makes them human, not bad parents. Oh gosh, the number of times I've just gone into another room and thought to myself, for the love of God, Thomas, will you just leave me alone for a minute? So many times. And then this is what parents signed up for, so they shouldn't feel overwhelmed. I've heard so many of these before. Nothing can fully prepare someone for becoming a parent. We all feel overwhelmed at times, even when it's something we've done before. Parents have every right to feel overwhelmed, and they shouldn't be ashamed of it. And then I never took time off from being a parent, so why should others need to? That's got my mum written all over it. Our human experiences, challenges, successes, and fears are all wonderfully unique to us. Not having an identical parenting experience doesn't mean someone's doing it wrong.
Right. And is there a right and a wrong other than obviously the blatantly obvious? Don't hang your child out of a window, Michael Jackson. Um, the blatantly obvious stuff, yes. But is there a right and a wrong to parenting? Like when it comes down to the actual portrayal or raising of the kid together, you get to, it's your child. You can instill your values. Um, Now, I guess that there is a caveat to that. There's, as with anything, um, let's not go hog wild with what I'm saying, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to get at. Is there a right? Is there a wrong
Mm-hmm.
answer for any given situation? Everybody's situations are going to be different. So, I mean, how do you teach parenting other than some basic stuff like how to change a diaper and what have you? How do you teach raising a teenager um, and all of that? Like, anyway, uh, some good myths and facts about self-care, an important thing not only in parenting but everyday life. Um, we should practice a little self-care and at least think about yourself in one way, shape, or form during each day. Um, not that you want to be overly concerned about uh, taking too much of the spotlight away,
Mm.
but just think about yourself. So check in with yourself more. Um, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? Is there anything I'm doing to make this worse or better?
Mm.
Sometimes it's in
And
that.
it's like what we've said in many, many other broadcasts as well. You can't be expected to look after somebody else if you aren't looking after yourself. So again, make sure you're eating, make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, plenty of rest, looking after your own mental health, and just you in general.
Right. Let's take a look at this video real quick while I go get Penelope situated. I'm going
Yes.
to go in here for the rest of it. So.
Have you ever thought about how parents, well, parent? According to child psychologists, there are two aspects of parenting that can influence child development, emotion, and behavior: control and warmth. The control aspect describes how parents react to their children and which methods they use to parent. The warmth aspect is how much affection parents give their children. Learning about the different combinations of high or low control or warmth of these parenting styles could benefit current and future parents and their children. With that said, let's get into the 4 different parenting styles. Number 1, authoritative parenting. Authoritative parenting is high on both control and warmth. These parents set strict rules and consequences, but they also make sure not to ignore their child's feelings. They are warm, nurturing, and encouraging, and willing to listen to their children and consider their point of view. But they also make it clear that adults are in charge here. With this approach, they have control over their children, but not in an overbearing way. This parenting style has been considered the best because it's a perfect balance of rules and affection. Children that were raised by authoritative parents are usually happy, confident, respectful, and successful. They rarely show signs of problematic behaviors such as addiction, alcoholism, or problems with the law, because the control their parents had over them ensured to teach them good behavior. And since they received so much love growing up, they can love and fulfill themselves and have stable and secure relationships with others. Number 2, authoritarian parenting. It sounds similar to authoritative parenting, but make sure not to confuse the two. Authoritarian parents are also high on control, but their parenting is lacking warmth and emotion. These parents believe children should follow rules without exception. They are strict and believe in punishments and discipline. While enforcing their rules, they don't really care about their children's emotions. Negotiation is just not an option in their house. They may seem cold and distant when dealing with their children, and sometimes they can even get hostile and aggressive. When their children grow up, they're obedient, respect authority, and follow the rules. But because their opinions were never heard or valued, they have problems with self-esteem. It's hard for them to communicate their wants and needs with confidence. Because of this, they may be prone to depression or anxiety disorders. Number 3, permissive parenting. Kids usually like this parenting style the most because those parents show little control and lots of warmth. They often say that kids will be kids and are quite forgiving when their kids make mistakes and might sometimes act more like friends than parents. They like talking with their children and joking around, and they rarely put their foot down. But no matter how much their kids like that treatment, the permissiveness comes with a price. Children raised this way are often low in self-control, consideration for others, and in achievement motivation. They are also more likely to experiment with drugs or alcohol. They also might struggle academically and have low motivation for higher education. And number 4, uninvolved parenting. Unfortunately, some parents don't really care about warmth nor control. Those parents, uninvolved ones, barely ever show interest in their children. They don't ask about their needs, schoolwork, or friends. They let their kid do whatever they want while expecting them to take care of themselves too. They can be straight up neglectful, cold, and rejecting when their kids seek their help. Uninvolved parenting also has negative effects on children. They don't do well in school, don't have fulfilling friendships, and have high levels of depression, anxiety, and drug use by the time they're teenagers, and are also likely to struggle with their self-esteem. If you're not a parent, which parenting style did your parents have while raising you? And what effects did it leave on you? And if you are a parent, in which category do you feel you fit in? Let us know in the comments if you feel like there's room for improvement. Good job on taking the first step. With lots of learning, dedication, and willingness, you can achieve that perfect balance and become an authoritative parent, raising a happy, protected, and confident child. If you like this video, please share it. The references and studies used are listed in the description below. Until next time, friends, take care, and thanks for watching.
You're still here.
Yeah, for now. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. I have got my phone set up though, so if it goes, I'll just join with that now.
Excellent. So I hope that kind of explains what we talked about a little bit earlier a little better. I can't even fathom, and I know there's folks out there, to each their own. It's not always everybody's cup of tea, but why have a child if you're going to be neglectful or, uninterested at all? Maybe there was extenuating circumstances, and I'm not casting any judging or blame on anybody, but it just seems so unfair.
Oh yeah, and it is true what it said about the way that how you are brought up can affect your parenting. Because when I saw that, it was the second one. I forget which category it came under now. My parents, how they were never really interested in me. They were very, very strict, very, very present, but not present. Like they were there, but like I was always told to shut up, that my opinions didn't really matter. I was always very much blamed for a lot of things, and I went on to, I think, the desire to be so different to my parents was so strong that I feel I was probably too much for my son at times, wanting to show him excessive love, excessive care, and probably overbearing, to be honest, at times. But yeah, it really can affect you the way you're brought up, for sure.
Absolutely. Penelope joins us now as I had my mic muted, but she was essentially hollering on the floor, asking to come up. She likes to sit with me at the computer and
Showing
stuff,
parenting.
especially when we're doing a broadcast. She loves the camera and seeing herself. But anywho, parenting, I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
And not being neglectful. That's the one thing I think, if I can, always never make her feel neglected or that I'm bored or not interested in her, or what I'm saying. Like, if there's one goal other than, let's raise a good child and get her out into the world to be successful. I don't ever want her to feel like she was, in the way or something like that. So if she wants to come sit during the broadcast, then that's what she gets. Especially seems to like it. So
she does. She seems to love it. She's really quieting down. I can't believe how quick she's growing though. She just looks just like you though. Like she really does.
Yes, Jim says Penny is doing an amazing job parenting Tim this evening. But you're getting a lot of highs and waves. Yes. So that brings up a good point about what Jim just said, actually. uh, about her parenting me brings up an essential or something I was forgetting to mention earlier. Um, on both fronts, we talked a little bit about the manipulation that can occur when there's toxicity
Mm.
in the relationship or in the parenting scenario. You had mentioned, the kids are smart; they're gonna feed into that, and they're gonna
Hmm.
manipulate to get what they want.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so not only can children parent us, but the other thing to watch out for is to not try and parent your partner, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you don't want to make them feel like they're the child
Hmm.
in the situation. I can probably raise my hand once or twice. I'm guilty, but I'm not trying to do it on purpose. I'm still learning myself. I feel like my wife is way ahead of the game, um,
Mm.
seeing as how she has three of her own, and they're already two of them in high school already.
That
Um,
was one of the questions that I wanted to bring up. We had a question on the forum tonight, and I thought it would be a really good episode to bring it in, especially as you've just mentioned it. It said about how can parenting and co-parenting be affected when you're joining a relationship where the other person already has children. What's your role there?
so, so there, it's a little. I was brand new in that as well, so it's a learning curve. I came into a very good situation.
Hmm.
I feel very lucky with the situation I am currently in with my wife, and then her ex-husband, and now his new wife. We all get along very well. There's no um, there's no problems or issues, and we seem to get along parenting wise. Obviously, his wife and I both know that we're not the primary parent here, but
Hmm.
we're support parents or bonus parents is pretty popular now. Um,
Hmm.
and I'll be the first one to jump in there and help with some math homework because my wife sucks at math. Um, and just as far as discipline goes, I don't tend to. I'll raise my voice if it needs, if the situation warrants, but I don't generally punish her kids. I bring it to her, like if she's out of the house and they're with me,
Hmm.
I'll bring it to her and kind of either let her make the decision, or we'll make it together. Or sometimes she'll just say, "You handle it. It's cool." Um,
Hmm.
Now that we're 6 years on, 7 years on, we've got a bit more of a groove. So it's definitely a lot easier now than it was when I was first coming into it.
Hmm.
Um, so I hope that answers it.
Yeah, I can imagine it's quite hard, especially around discipline. That was something that was mentioned. It literally came in about 40 minutes ago. So while we've been live, it's just purely because I've got it open that I was doing that form that I saw it come through. So it's just as well. But yeah, especially around the discipline, I think that we're getting. It's quite a lengthy one, so maybe we can address it more appropriately next time we do the live Q&A as well. But I just wanted to bring it up now because it was obviously sent in but while somebody was watching the broadcast, obviously sent it in about discipline and how to handle the discipline around children when they're not biologically yours.
I don't know that there's, again, is there a right or wrong answer?
I
Each
guess as
each
long as
situation
you
presents
discuss it, yeah.
a different.
As long as you discuss it with the parents and things, and again, you're a team regardless. I guess as long as it's something that you've discussed and agree upon beforehand, then but there is always the risk thrown of you. Like, I mean, I used to get it when I worked in a school, especially high school, and they'd say, "You're not my mum. You can't tell me what to do."
Yeah.
And often at school, and I'd think, "Thank God I'm not." But
Hmm. So,
Yeah, it can be hard, especially when they get to a certain age and they're just wanting to push every boundary that there is. But
and Nail Driver says the hardest thing about having difficult foster kids in the house was trying to hold the house together for our own kids.
yeah, I can imagine that's really difficult. And massive shout out to you for doing that. It can be really difficult.
Absolutely. And
Really
that's a
difficult.
whole nother dynamic that we haven't even gotten into.
And
We can definitely take a look at that later on down the road. I
to
did
do
want to.
that as well, like, can be really difficult, especially if they've come from a really difficult background, trying to get them and put them back on track and help and support them. Again, there's no guidebook that comes with being a parent, especially when it comes to fostering and things, and that can be really difficult when they're not your children biologically and you've been put in this situation where you've got to just do your best, and it can be really hard depending on the circumstances in which they've been brought up in. So, but
100%.
shout out to you for that.
I'd like to throw this last slide up and go through this because I really wanted to discuss this one.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind reading one more, it's
Yeah,
a two-parter.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to find it. There we go. So, how to promote positive mental health in your child. So, be a role model. How to handle your challenges and uncomfortable feelings influences how your child learns to respond to their own. Limit screen time. Don't let electronics get in the way of developing a deep connection with your kids. Limit screen time for your kids and for yourself. And then stop helicoptering. Hoovering too closely limits your child's developments by not letting them learn how to handle disappointments or overcome struggles. And then talk to your child about their feelings. Being able to share their feelings in a healthy, productive way is essential for good kids' mental health. Let them know mistakes are normal. Let your kids see your own errors so they realize everyone makes mistakes and sometimes it doesn't define a person's worth.
Yeah.
I've swiped out of that. Focus on their physical health. So, diet and sleep can contribute to a child's mood, attention span, anxiety levels, and general behavior. Accentuate the positive. So, praise your child for their efforts, not only in their successes, so they develop a positive sense of self, even when they're struggling. And yeah, that's something that I struggled with, definitely having the negatives
Mm-hmm.
focused on more. So, like, yeah, obviously you have to pull them on certain behaviors and stuff, but try and make sure that you are focusing on the things that they are doing well. If you have to tell them off for doing something, try and bring it back to something that they did do well. Don't always focus on the negative, because then it just makes them feel like they are worthless and useless and they can't do anything. I'm still struggling with that to this current day because of it. So try and definitely do that. I'm going through the whole mental health thing with Thomas at the moment because of everything that he's been through and things that he's witnessed and things that were out of my control. But, just try and talk to them about it. And they're not always going to want to talk, but there are many, many other ways in which you can do it. Um, if I've got some great ideas, actually, I'll drop in the Discord afterwards that might help. But then there's various different ways you can do it, but I'll put them all in the Discord because I've just literally gone through that with Thomas recently with his mental health. So yeah, there you go. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's perfect too. Because it does bring up another. I was thinking along the same lines of doing an episode down the road about talking mental health with your kids. Um, I haven't actually written it down yet, but I've thought about it several times that we need to do something about how to talk at a young age about mental health and what's going on, to make it more comfortable as they grow older and not stigma and all that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nail driver says, now I'm in a new difficult situation. My mother-in-law is under our roof and care. She likes nail driver's posts. She was not really there for my wife, and yet my wife has always been in her corner. And he ends with, so I'm mad at this person. Well, I hope everything works out in a good manner. Remember to watch Holding Resentments, as that's the breeding ground for bad
Yes, it can be hard.
resentments. I think that was all I really had as far as slides and information. I think I hit on everything, and we're just the one thing I forgot is we kind of talked about it, but I wanted to bring this up in particular, because I asked my wife specifically because she told me something she just does not like, and we talked about boundaries and making rules or do's and don'ts of how to treat your partner in this venture. And so somewhere along the line, I was asking, or I was telling Penelope, why don't you go ask your mama for a diaper or something, and or why don't you go see if mama can feed you or something like that. And for whatever reason, that really just kind of rubbed Casey the wrong way. She did not care for that. So, we talked about it, and of course, I won't do that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I won't do that again. But even the little things, that might seem so insignificant to some, and it might seem insignificant to me. Like, I'm not meaning any harm by it, obviously, and I might think it's kind of nuts that she gets offended by that or it itches her, but it does. Is the bottom line. It does get on her nerves, and so I need to address that for her. So just something to think about. So, all right, guys, this has been an episode. I'm going to be in the editing room for hours on end, between a Houdini co-host and a lady here that won't be quiet. Right? So anyway, we're going to go ahead and close it on out. We're going to do some community calendar first. Don't forget you got Catalyst with Jim in Chicagoland tonight. As always, the warm candle or the fireside chats, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my neck of the woods. Here on Twitch at Jim in Chicagoland. He's in the chat. If you give him a follow, he will be out on the patio tonight.
Yeah.
We also have a ray of sunshine in here. He's one of my moms. He did his stream last night, Tuesday nights, positive stories and vibes. I was unable to make last night, unfortunately. However, I will catch the replay if it's up. Give him a follow as well, a ray of sunshine 21. Eric J Gaming on Twitch. He was a former guest, or interview.
Yeah.
We interviewed Eric on his anxiety. He plays video games on Twitch and has a pretty nice stream setup. So give him a follow and check him out. Gemma, go for it. Promote yourself. What do you got?
We've got a broadcast train on date's gone last Saturday of the month, I think. But yeah, we're going to be doing some more stuff anyway. I've got some more resin and arts and crafts broadcasts in the pipeline very soon.
I haven't seen the resin in a while. Those were always fun to watch, actually.
Well, the resin sculpture I have at the side of me is not appropriate for this broadcast, so I won't get that one out. But yeah, we are going to be doing some more. I'm going to get Med doing some as well, because I want to do the broadcasts as though I'm teaching it as well, so I can show other people how to do it, and just a bit of fun and great for your mental health as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Gemma. And lastly, for all things bunny, you know her, you love her, Ella the Bunny Mom here on Twitch, mybunnyvalentine.com. Use the promo code FireDude15 to save 15% on your purchases. Ella is a great friend and has to work, unfortunately, during the mental health hours time frame, but she streams late nights for all insomniacs out there. She plays a little ukulele and sings some songs, and you can meet her rabbit puppy cat. But give her a follow, help support her at mybunnyvalentine.com. And thank you all for joining us tonight. Oh hell, that's right. We need to go over the live Q&A. That's already come and gone.
Oh, yep. Well, that's come up. Is it? Yeah. Okay.
We got to go over the Discord. Who's my Bobby? I have it here. Let me get rid of that and I'll pop it in. We had too many slides up tonight, apparently.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep,
I was just thinking when you said about when the live Q&A, I'm like, we didn't discuss another word. What?
Join us Friday, June 23rd. I will be coming home from the beach that day. So the week of the 23rd, the 19th to the 23rd, I put it in the Discord that there on the upcoming schedule, there is no stream on that day or on that week. I'm sorry. I think it was the 21st of June. So, but we will do a community check-in at the 23rd when I get home from the vacation.
Yes.
Be live in the Discord, camera and voice optional. Just come in, hang out at the lounge, and it's like a Zoom call, essentially. So
you don't even have to speak. Just listen if you want to.
Yeah, just come hang out. But that is now all we have. For any and all information, there's, of course, the bio link. And we highly recommend joining the Discord because that's the most popular place for information passing on and community updates. So we'll go ahead and get out of here. We'll be back again next week. The new schedule is out on the Discord. I'll put it on Twitter and Instagram as well. If you want to check it out, check out TMHH Instagram or Twitter if you're not in the Discord for the upcoming schedule. Next week, we're going to be doing dissociation, which is where we're at tonight, right? Dissociating.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Neil Driver. All right, guys. We'll see you again next week. Bye now.
Bye.